morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. As you can see, it's a little bit early, about 5:43 in the morning. Headed to work. A little abnormally early, but I had to get some stuff done, so it was a little bit pre-dawn here, and I figured it'd be a cool time for a little story. I've noticed some motovloggers out there making some interesting, scary stories or visits, going to haunted houses and shit. And so for those of you that join our live stream, you may have heard the shortened version of this. But now that I have a little bit more time, I figured I might expand on it a little bit for everyone and tell you a little story about my childhood, a little scary story. Well, I won't say scary, but definitely different, maybe a little paranormal. So to give you a little bit of background, my brother was a minister in a church, and I used to live with him. And the church was ran out of his house. The pastor was in Canada, and so obviously, as a church, we helped a lot of people out. And one time, there was this lady who was in her 70s, almost 80s, pretty old. And she was living, it was like an old friend of the family that my mom had happened to get in touch with. I think that's how it happened. I was kind of young. And what they found was she was living in some like old people's home with hospice. And she lived with her niece, her granddaughter, who was mentally challenged. She was older, so she had a mental age of like a 5-year-old. And so when we found her, it was definitely not a good situation. She really wasn't taken care of. I won't go into details, but you can imagine, someone living in a hospice not getting the care that they need, what kind of living conditions she was in. So we took her in. Her daughter, or not her daughter, but her granddaughter, we had to put into a special home, just because she was, she was older already, and definitely it was a challenge. So she lived with us for a long time, and as most older people, she was very, grumpy and hated life. The cards she were dealt to her, that type of thing. But so when she lived with us, she still had this, she had this special bed that you had to have when you're, disabled. She couldn't really walk very much. She had one of those walkers, but she just really couldn't walk very much. She was pretty much always in bed, sick. And hospice would come out. We still had hospice, and they would come out. It was a little easier now because not only is hospice there, but the family was there to take care of her and help her and feed her and all that stuff. One night, I had a dream. I had a dream that I walked into her room, and in her room, there was two of her. One in one bed, one in another bed. And in the middle was my niece at the time. And I remember picking up my niece in a dream and holding her. And I remember talking to this person in bed A, who was perfectly fine, healthy, talking, joyful, happy, and just all around healthy. I mean, she seemed healthy. And we had a good conversation. And then her in bed B. And in bed B, she was very sick. I can remember seeing that she looked very ill, like she just wasn't good. She wasn't talking much. Her skin color was kind of, off, and she just looked bad, very bad. And then I remember taking my niece out of the room, right, walking her out of the room, and she would disappear, and she'd go back in the room, and it was really weird. And I would go back in and I would take her out. And I don't remember how many times that happened. And then I woke up. And I just remember, I really don't remember how old I was, but I just remember that dream really kind of messed me up. It was just really scary. And so I kind of told my brother about it. And he was like, all right, you need to talk to the pastor. Again, mention the pastor's in Canada. So we call the pastor and to talk about my dream. And I call him, and I go wherever where it's just me and him, and I tell him my dream. And what he tells me is two parts to this. One, he says the reason that I kept taking my niece out of the room and was able to get her out of the room. Oh, side note. I forgot who it was in the dream, but they kept trying to take her out of the room. And they were not able to. They just couldn't get her out of the room. And I was. So you're going to need that for this part of the conversation. And so I remember talking to the pastor, and he was like, so the reason you were able to take your niece out of the bedroom was because of your faith. That you have so much faith that if someone told you to, walk through a wall, you wouldn't question it. If God told you to walk through a wall, you wouldn't question it. You would just do it, If he told you to move a mountain, you would just do it. And that's why I was able to move my niece out of the room. Which was, that's not the creepy part. The second part to this was when we started talking about the lady in bed A and the lady in bed B. And he said the lady in bed A was healthy because she accepted God and she was baptized. And that's why she was healthy. And that she was going to live and get better. He said for Lady B, she did not accept God. She did not get baptized. And so she was going to die. And in the dream, I was given 7 days. I remember, I don't know where the number came from, but I do remember in the dream, somehow, the lady in option B, in bed B, option, like she had an option. The lady in bed B had 7 days to live. And I honestly, I don't remember where that number, who gave me that number, or how it came up, but that was the number. And so the pastor said that this lady who lived with us had a choice to make. And he said if she accepted God and was baptized, she would live and get better. And if she didn't, and she continued her ways, because like I said, she was older, she was mean, that she would die. And that was that. And so my brother told her my dream and what it meant, because I didn't tell her, but he told her. And she was, thought it was nonsense and basically, called names and stuff like that. And that whole week, that week after he told her, I remember she was healthy. She had got out of bed for the first time in months. She was taking walks around the house. She went outside. She was eating. She was happy. And it was like a night and day change from the way that she was, where she couldn't even get out of bed. She couldn't hold down food. She would throw, like you come in there with food, if she didn't like it, she'd throw it at you. It was night and day difference. So 7 days go by, and I remember I went to school that day, and I was young, I didn't, to me I knew she was angry all the time, and I understood why, and I understood what was going on with her. But, for me, obviously I was a kid, so I'd always say hi, bye, I love you, all that stuff. And I remember going to school and having a normal day, and then coming home. And I came home, and I remember it was really quiet. I walked in the house, there was no noise, no one was talking, and my mom, my brother, and a few other people were sitting in the living room and told me that she died. Now, this whole time, remember that whole week, she was getting better, she was getting healthy, And my brother and my mom and the other church members, you know, they kept telling her, hey, you need to pray, you need to change your ways, you need to accept God, you need to get baptized. And she was just like, nope, not gonna happen, you know. But then that seventh day, as healthy as she was, she died. And I don't know, you know, that was a crazy time for me when I was younger to see that. And this is a story from my childhood. This isn't some story I made up. This isn't a story that I found on the internet. This is just something that happened to me. And I have a lot more like this. I figured after our conversation in the live stream, this would be kind of an interesting topic to cover. I'd love to hear anything that happened to you, because I know I can't be the only one that's had crazy shit happen. So I'd love to hear your comments down below. Tell me about some crazy shit that's happened to you, or some unexplainable things. And I'm not trying to say you should believe in God, or don't believe in God, or you should get baptized. You know, that's not the point of this. The point of this is just to say that some fucking crazy shit happened when I was younger, and it was fucking freaky. And I have a few more stories that I'll probably tell later in other moto vlogs. So stay tuned if you enjoyed this one. If you like being creeped out, we definitely have a couple more to go that I can expound upon. But like I said, leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this, about something that's happened to you. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button over there. Check out the videos below and the link. And until next time, peace.